Have you ever wondered how people survived before refrigerators? Well, the Amish can store meat for months, even years, without any refrigeration. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how they do it. This isn't just about old traditions. It's about self-sufficiency, survival economics, and having a secure food supply no matter what happens. Stay with me, because these skills are more valuable today than ever before. First, let's talk about the foundation of all Amish meat preservation, salt curing. Salt is a natural preservative. Yeah, it works by drawing out moisture from the meat, creating an environment where harmful bacteria simply can't survive. This process is known as osmosis. The Amish have mastered this technique over generations. They typically start with a high-quality cut of meat, often from their own livestock. The cut of meat is crucial. You want something with good fat content, like pork belly for bacon or a pork shoulder. The process itself is surprisingly simple, but requires precision. They use what's called a dry cure. This is a mixture of salt, sugar, and sometimes spices. A common ratio is about 4 parts salt to 1 part sugar. The sugar isn't just for flavor. It balances the harshness of the salt and helps the meat retain a more palatable texture. They might also add black pepper, paprika, or other secret family spices to their cure mix. Once the cure is prepared, they rub it generously all over the surface of the meat, making sure every nook and cranny is covered. This is the most critical step. If any part of the meat is missed, it can spoil. After the initial rubbing, the meat is placed in a non-reactive container, like a wooden box or a ceramic crock. It's never metal, as the salt can react with it. Then, it's stored in a cool, dark, and dry place, like a root cellar or a spring house, where temperatures are consistently low, but above freezing. Every few days, they'll check on the meat. You'll notice liquid pooling at the bottom of the container. This is the moisture being pulled out by the salt, and it needs to be drained off. They might reapply a little more cure during this process. Depending on the size and thickness of the cut, this curing phase can last anywhere from a week to over a month. The meat is fully cured when it feels firm and has lost a significant amount of its initial weight. At this point, it's technically preserved and safe to eat, but the Amish often take it a step further. And that brings us to the second pillar of Amish preservation, smoking. Smoking isn't just about adding that delicious, smoky flavor we all love. It's a powerful preservation technique in its own right. The smoke contains natural compounds that act as antimicrobials and antioxidants, which further protect the meat from spoilage and rancidity. It also creates a dry, protective layer on the outside of the meat, known as a pellicle. The Amish use a method called cold smoking. This is very different from the hot smoking you do on your backyard grill. In cold smoking, the meat is hung in a smokehouse, but the fire itself is kept far away, with the smoke being piped in. The temperature inside the smokehouse is kept low, typically below 85 degrees Fahrenheit, or 30 Celsius. This is crucial because you're not trying to cook the meat. You're simply infusing it with smoke and drying it out even more. They use hardwoods like hickory, apple, or cherry, as these woods produce a clean, flavorful smoke. Pine and other softwoods are avoided because they create a sooty, resinous smoke that can make the meat taste terrible. The meat might hang in the smokehouse for days, or even weeks, depending on the desired level of smoke and preservation. The end result is a beautifully colored, deeply flavored piece of meat that is incredibly stable for long-term storage. This is how they make their famous hams, bacons, and smoked sausages that can last through the winter and beyond. So, you have your cured and smoked meat. Now, how do you store it for the long haul? The Amish have a couple of ingenious, non-electric methods. One of the most common is canning, or bottling, especially for things like ground meat or stew chunks. This is something many of us are familiar with, but the Amish do it on a massive scale. They'll typically cook the meat first, sometimes searing it or making it into a seasoned sausage. Then, they pack the hot meat into sterilized glass jars, like mason jars. They might add hot broth or even just the rendered fat from the meat itself to fill any air pockets. It's vital to remove all the air, as oxygen is the enemy of preservation. After wiping the rims clean, they seal the jars with lids and process them in a pressure canner. A pressure canner is essential for canning low-acid foods like meat, because it reaches temperatures much higher than boiling water. This high heat kills off any potential botulism spores, making the meat completely shelf-stable and safe to eat for years. Once processed, these jars are stored in their cool, dark pantries, ready to be opened for a quick and hearty meal anytime. Imagine having jars of perfectly cooked pork, beef, or chicken ready to go without needing a freezer. That's true food security. Another fascinating old-world method they use is storing meat in lard. Yes, you heard that right. After cooking a piece of meat, like a pork sausage or a small roast, they place it in a large ceramic crock. Then, they pour melted, rendered lard over it until the meat is completely submerged. As the lard cools, it solidifies, creating an airtight seal around the meat. This barrier of fat prevents any air or bacteria from reaching the meat, preserving it perfectly. When they need some meat, they simply dig into the crock, pull out what they need, and melt the lard off. The crock is then resealed with more melted lard to protect the remaining pieces. This method was incredibly common before refrigeration and is still a practical technique used in Amish communities. It's a perfect example of their waste not, want not philosophy, using the fat from the animal to preserve its meat. It's a closed-loop sustainable system. These methods, salt curing, cold smoking, pressure canning, and storing in lard, are the secrets to how the Amish maintain a plentiful supply of meat without relying on a modern power grid. It's a testament to their ingenuity, resourcefulness, and deep understanding of nature. These aren't just quaint historical practices. They are practical survival skills that can give you and your family a real sense of security in an uncertain world. Think about it. In an emergency, a power outage, or any situation where the supply chain is disrupted, having this knowledge is invaluable. You're not dependent on a functioning freezer or a grocery store. You have the power to preserve your own food, ensuring your family has high-quality protein when it's needed most. This is what true prepping and self-sufficiency look like. It's not about fear, it's about empowerment and wisdom. Learning these skills takes practice, but it's more accessible than you might think. You can start small, perhaps by curing a small piece of pork belly to make your own bacon. There are plenty of resources available to guide you through the process safely. The key is to be meticulous about cleanliness, temperature, and following the steps correctly. So, what have we learned? We've seen that through the smart application of salt, smoke, heat, and fat, it's entirely possible to store meat for months or even years without a single watt of electricity. The Amish have been doing it for centuries, and their methods are a masterclass in survival economics and food preservation. You don't need a fridge to survive. Learn from the Amish. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore these incredible traditional techniques. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about self-sufficiency and traditional skills, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Drop a comment below if you've ever tried any of these methods, or if you have any questions. Stay prepared, stay wise, and we'll see you in the next video.